Okay, let's continue to material. Again, you have to go to the settings for render setting and make the engine to render to a standard. Because at the first we are explaining the standard material of Cinema 4D. Going open the material, and if you click add, it automatically add the default material. Open it, and we are going to explain reflectance channel. It's a new and advanced channel for creating such interesting reflection channel that it's a new version. From here, you can see we have two tab here. First, layer. If you holding shift, you can open both of them at the one window. First, I want to explain default, specular, and layer. For better understanding, right click and open a new window and make it bigger to better see that. It's very simple system. You can from here add lots of reflection layer here. You can see you can add all layer here. And I think it has to, you have to waiting to it be render your layer. Make it smaller. It's a simple render. You can see better here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, you have to wait to it be render. Okay, make sure you can change it. Okay, you can see we have add a lots of layer here that it's like a Photoshop. The first layer will be shown to you, and you can add to layer below that. For example, you can add it and add it and add it. From here, can we change it? From here, you can. I think it's better to make it the large or huge. Yeah, it's better to see better the settings here. So you can add to default. So you can copy them, you can remove them. We have a lots of layer here, but the first layer that you can see, it's a default specular. You can see it better here. For better seeing that, you can go to the color and make it dark. You can see a default specular from the lighting source here. And from here, you can change the strength of that, power of that. First, going to the layer, from here you can add it's a blending mode of normal or add. Normal means you can just see the layer that's above it. From here you have a global reflection brightness. Again, if you add a lots of, for example, reflection type, from here you can see in a power over here or in a brightness. You can see the brightness. It's the power of this, for example, reflection. It's the power of this reflection, brightness of that. And here's the amount of that, how many you want to see this effects, or here's the brightness. It's two things, brightness of that, more we can see more dark or more brightness, and actually power of the this reflection. If you go to the layer, you can see if you add, you can add the layers here. You can go with default specular or in the layers. You can see the layer that you add. It's an default specular. Above that, with a normal that, it's be careful if you add a lot of layer and it's a top layer. If you set it to the normal, it's delete. You cannot see the layer below. Be careful about that. If you want to see the layer below, you have to add. If you add, you can see the normal, this layer below that. If you add the add layer, and now you can see the specular on top of reflection. And in a layer from here, global reflection brightness, every layer here has its own brightness sitting here. Okay, you can change the reflection brightness globally, all layer at once. Interesting. Global specular brightness If any layer has a specular globally, you can change all layer at once. And if you want to export it in a Photoshop or After Effects, you can uh, set the layers separately and you can export the passes. I will be explaining it later. So this is a layer. You can remove that, and just we have a default specular setting here. Okay, just click on a default specular tab. You can see the preview here and you can see the fall off mode of this. For example, from here, we have more, and after that, we have a simple fall off to black. And here you can, again, from here, you can change directly. These are reflections, anisotropics, and other reflections. And here is a specular. This is a legacy reflection. If you want to see the previous version of the Cinema 4D reflection, you can see the legacy mode. And here we have two type of the specular in this lesson. A fine specular, it's a more smaller and more sharper one, but and this is a specular blend, it's more wider and more smooth one of the specular. Attenuation is metal and additive. For example, if you change the color, of your object, it's add and mixing actually the specular to this. The attenuation, it's better see to other reflections. You can better see that there. So come back and here make it dark to better see that. Here you can change the width. All of these settings, you can open the settings of them and you can see it has a texture. Again, anywhere in Cinema 4D, if you set the texture, you can open this famous window, and I explained them before. You can add a black and white code to better see that. For better understanding this, I will be explaining it in a bump setting. Width, you can change the width if you want more or less. You can change the width of you can make it right click here to this part to make it default. Fall off, you can see it's from 100% power going to the 0. You can set this fall off here. You can see the fall off. It will be changing here. So we have more power, 100% in there, and then going to 0. Or of course negative fall off that you want. Inner width, if you set it to negative fall off, you can see the inner radius better. More, you can see it's vice versa. It's inner radius. You can see in this graph editor here. Specular strengths, it's you can see it's going up. Its altitude, its a range of that. How many power? It's more whiter and whiter, sharper. Right click. And the bump and strengths, you can add bump. In big window, you can add a bump to a specular. Again, for a texture, you can control it, but we don't use the texture here. In a mode, you can set it to the bump and a normal map. For example, a bump, if you set it to the bump from the custom texture, again, you can add black and white noise, and you can see the bump on your, you can set it as strings, and you can see you can add a bump to your fall off. And I will be explaining these settings in the bump channel here. So you can go into the noise again and change the settings of the bump, change the texture to the 2D to better seeing the texture, because spacing is a 2D. I'll be explaining it before. You can set it there. So it's very interesting. You can add normal, a bump with a black and white code in here. You can add a normal map. For doing that, you have to, again, this is a noise. On top of the noise, you have to add a normalizer to your effects. In FX, where was that? Normalizer. In this normalizer, you can create this. You can change strength of that. I explained it before. You can add a normal, such as these maps are normal. In the noise, in the 2D, you can make more contrast to better seeing the normal. You can see a little normal in your specular. Again, all of these folks are, you can add a bump on or normal on your uh, specular channel. Or from here, you can make the mode to default. It's just simple default with any noise. Separate passes again from the bump. You can export them separately in After Effects on the Photoshop in PSD layers, and then you can change them there. Layer color, from here you can change directly the color of your specular. Here you can change the color of your specular. You can change the brightness, the power of more bright or not your specular, like strength of that. From here again, you can add any texture to that. You can add texture actually on your specular, add any texture and use blending mode, mix them together. It's very simple. You can add, for example, you can load your image from here. Layer mask, it's other settings that I will explain when I add JJX or Beckman. Okay, this is simple default specular in standard material of Cinema 4D. Please don't forget to visit our TutorialCells apps channel. In this channel, we are introducing Android application and learn how to use them.